Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let us know, say hello in the chat. Who has been here every day or who is here for their first live session? What are your takeaways so far? I know lots of people are emailing me saying they haven't made any live, but they've watched all the recordings. So hello to you if you're watching the recording as well. Carla's been here every day. Oh, wow. Has this been of value? 4 for 4, Maria. Every day, Susan. Oh, brilliant. Today is actually every day is my favorite day, but I really love teaching what I'm going to teach today. And also tomorrow, you'll see how everything on the final day hopefully links together what I'm teaching. Tomorrow, I'm going to be teaching about growth and why you are all being called to grow. And also the resistance to growth and how we kind of get stuck in this holding pattern and we sabotage ourselves. So don't miss tomorrow, but don't miss today because this is also my favorite too. Lots of people are booking calls and jumping into the Sober Mindset program. I actually have one bonus left for people who want to do this work and want to get that bonus one-to-one call with me. There's actually one still available. So if you want to grab that, jump in today. I know that it's a big decision, and what lots of people like to do is book a call with me. And you can book a call with me. We can spend a little time together. There's a link to do that on the information page, and we can talk through various things. And if it's not a good fit, I can make some other suggestions for you as well. So please, take your time and book a call, but just know that my calendar does fill up quite quickly. So go ahead and do that. I'm also doing a bonus Q&A next week on Tuesday, same time, same place. There'll be an email that goes out, and I will take all of your questions about everything you've learned. You can just ask me questions and I'll answer as many as I can. So there's a bonus on Tuesday, same time, same place. You'll get an email. And it'll be the same link that you've used every day. Is that right, Carolyn? I think it's going to be the same link. And you can ask me, all the questions that you may have going away from this, just make a note of them and come along Tuesday and I'll answer them as many as I can. Okay, let me have a look quick. I feel like my voice may go at some point. I feel like I've got something in my throat, so I hope it'll last till tomorrow. Sue here from the Netherlands. Hi, Sue. Every day so far, Michelle. Every day, loved it. Oh, lots of people. Well done. Gosh, good. Sandra's on her second. Well done, Nancy. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry, Winifred, about the tech difficulties. Sometimes it happens. I have a brilliant team, but sometimes there's a lot of moving parts to doing something like that. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about how we can reprogram our thinking to succeed at anything. So remember, this is called the Sober Mindset, and it's very much focused on getting sober, being sober, staying sober. But really, everything about mindset can be applied to every area of our life. Very much relationships, romantic relationships, money, finance, career, family. It really affects everything. So, and don't forget to keep posting your homework. I love looking at your answers and seeing what's being revealed to you. Hopefully you're having some aha moments and kind of like, oh, is that happening? Let me know. Oh, Terry. Terry Hi, Terry. So today we're going to learn how we form limiting beliefs, how limiting beliefs form a filter system that means we don't always see things as they are, that it's perception. And I have a prop with me today. Every time I do this training, I always wish I had this prop and I always forget to go and get it from the kitchen. I'll explain it in a second. Also, how limiting beliefs and resentments keep you drunk. That's what we're going to learn today. Okay. So lots of people are saying they have aha moments. Okay, good. Make sure you change when you put in the chat, change the little drop down menu thing to everyone. Otherwise, I'm the only person who can see your comment. And then everyone else can see them. So this is in your workbooks for those of you who have printed off your workbook. Uncovering and changing our limiting beliefs is how we get free. Uncovering and changing our limiting beliefs is how we get free. Now, I want to explain about freedom, because we hear that word a lot in regards to drinking. Of course, we want to have freedom from alcohol where we just don't think about it. But I want to tell you that when I say freedom, what I really mean is freedom in our minds. Freedom in our minds is when not only am I not thinking about alcohol, I'm also free of what other people think about me, what I think other people think about me. I'm free of resentments. I have freedom in my mind. I have emotional mastery. And that is priceless. That is really something else. So we've talked a little bit about this on other days, about how limiting beliefs are formed. The story we tell ourselves is how we communicate our limiting beliefs to others and to ourselves. We form limiting beliefs when we give meaning to events. It's how we interpret events and give meaning to them, because we're just taking in all this data and we have to make sense of the world. And this is very significant and powerful. We are trying to make sense of the world, and our brains are trying to process a lot of information. So when we're young, we're taking all this data about ourselves and our place in this world. And because this requires a lot of energy, our brains want to create shortcuts, which is why we create beliefs, and then they are stored in our subconscious mind. What is important to know is that we don't have critical thinking at a young age. We can't evaluate the message given to us from our culture and caregivers. We just absorb it. And we form beliefs about everything: ourselves, our place in the world, other people, our bodies. I mean, we're just always forming beliefs because it's just more energy efficient. We can't function unless we're like, okay, that's like that. It makes sense to everyone. Everyone got that concept? And these limiting beliefs become rules. We don't question them. This is the important thing. We don't, first of all, we don't know they're there. So we don't question them, and they're just rules. We just think they're facts. And they're all stored in the subconscious mind. So remember that, because we're going to talk about that as we go forward. So the problem is that we download perceptions and beliefs about life and ourselves years before we acquire the ability for critical thinking. We can't filter out what is about us and what is not about us. We interpret the world personally. This is really important. We're going to be talking about this all the way through today. We can't filter out, that's about me, that actually has nothing to do with me. We can't do that. So we take everything personally, and that mindset stays with us into adulthood. True freedom comes from not taking things personally. Children become what you tell them they are. I have done an immense amount of work on myself, and an immense amount of work on changing my limiting beliefs, all the stuff I'm teaching you. And it's really interesting to observe how in childhood this stuff is formed. So my mom, last time my mom visited me in America, which was 2019, we were out together, and I've had quite a, hold on, I just realized I'm not streaming this. I've had quite a difficult relationship with my mother my whole life, and we now have quite a decent relationship. Hold on one second, let me just do one thing. So we can have quite a functioning relationship. She hasn't changed, I've changed a lot, and it really is, I'm so glad that we've got to that place. So when she was visiting a few years ago, we were shopping and she bought me a really nice, quite expensive pair of gloves and a hat for the winter, which is kind of not like her to spend that kind of money. And I was like, oh, lovely, thank you, blah, blah, blah. And a few days later, I was, getting them out to wear because it was cold and we were going out, and I dropped them. And she had the same reaction that she's always had my whole life, which was, you need to take care of those things. They're just going to get all messy and mucked up because I know what you're like. And I just had that moment where I was like, that's where that came from. Yeah, I remember being told that all the time as a child, that I always mess up, like what, I messed up, whatever it was. And she would always say, I know what you're like, in that really, I know what you're like, which is what is left unsaid is bad. And I heard that over and over and over as a kid. So I just believed it. And messing up, that's a limiting belief that stayed with me for a long time and can still rear its ugly head every so often. And now I know how to deal with it. And it's not about blaming our parents. It's really about understanding where this came from so we can disregard beliefs that don't serve us. Everything my mother has done has come from a place of pure love for me, but it goes through her filter system. It goes through her limiting beliefs, her fear, her trauma. And sometimes it didn't always come out or feel like love. Does that make sense? You may have had similar experiences in your parenting. And I'm going to tell you, I'm the mother of 2 sons, and I'm going to tell them this. As they get older, I'm already talking a little bit about it with my older son, about we may not have always given you belief systems that are helpful. And it is your job to, as a young adult, to look at that and disregard stuff that you feel is not helpful. I'm going to tell my sons that. I'll let you know how it goes. So this work is you're probably seeing it's very rooted in childhood, and it's very, very powerful. You can see how it impacts every single part of your life. This is why it's so important to change it. So what I've learned in my work of over 20 years as a therapist is that our limiting beliefs are really common and unoriginal. All of us have limiting beliefs, and to be honest, I feel that it can often be boiled down to a handful of fundamental ones that govern our lives. 2 of my fundamental limiting beliefs were, I'm not good enough and I won't be loved. Who else has those, or a version of those? I believe those 2, so those things were limiting beliefs in my subconscious mind. Didn't know they were there. I just thought they were facts. They were just rules. And I experienced them much more as a feeling than necessarily as a thought of I'm not good enough. It was very much a feeling. But things would happen, and I would always interpret that to be, see, that happened because you're just not good enough at that. They just saw that you didn't matter. I believe those things were true, like I believe the sun will set tonight. I now think those are ridiculous. But they ruled my life for a really long time until I knew how to change them. Our limiting beliefs, I find, really manifest themselves in our romantic relationship patterns. Who can see that in their romantic relationships? I had the same pattern over and over again. And imagine the type of partners you attract if you fundamentally believe that you are not good enough or worthy of being loved. I always accepted scraps from the table. I always accepted unacceptable behavior from my partners, because I just thought I was lucky to get that, because I'm really not worth anything. So for me, I hit a rock bottom with this when I was about 3 years sober. I got sober, things got better, my life got better. I started my work as a psychotherapist, did my training, blah, blah, blah. And I learned a lot of things. I had a lot of theory in my head. I understood about attachment and abandonment and trauma and all that kind of stuff. And I met this guy, and same pattern, really intense relationship, thought I was amazing. I thought this was it. I was saved. There was always an aspect of believing like I needed to be with someone to be safe. And then he would begin to leave me. And I would go into panic mode of don't leave, don't leave, don't leave, because I was terrified that I wouldn't be okay if I didn't have that relationship, which is the act of a child. That's the child who was abandoned by their father. It was that feeling coming up. And they would always leave me. And I would always believe it was because there was something wrong with me. I wasn't good enough, pretty enough, thin enough, smart enough. I just wasn't enough. The reason they did that was because of me, because it kept happening over and over again. So it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. It just the same pattern. I just kept thinking, if I just tried harder to be good enough and attract the right person, then everything would be okay and magical. Who else has had that pattern and that belief system that the relationship will complete them, that will save them? And every time the same thing happens and you're left with the same feeling. I want to tell you, it almost killed me. I would be in that black hole of suicidal despair. It was the pain was so deep that there's no other pain like it. And the reason for that is it was activating original pain from my past. By the way, if you guys don't have my book, it's a lot of this stuff I talk about is in here as well. So get that. So all this original pain of being abandoned by both my parents, my father physically, my mother emotionally, would come up in my romantic relationships. And those beliefs formed from those early childhood events they're just facts. It's just how it is. Am I making sense to everybody? Yeah. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the relationship stuff, because for me, that in what I have observed in my 22 years of sobriety and my work as a therapist, this is what causes the most amount of pain in people. And I see it not just in people who struggle with substance abuse issues. I see it in lots of people. The pain of romantic relationships, the story people tell themselves about why this is happening to them or why it didn't work out. All we are doing is we are running subconscious patterns. We are running limiting beliefs. And remember what I said on day one, our program just runs. It does what we tell it to do. If we have told it, you're not good enough, you're not worthy of being loved, or whatever it is, that's the pattern it's going to run, and that's the outcome you're going to get. We can't use our conscious mind to think our way out of this. We have to change the programming in our subconscious mind. And a key part of that is identifying and changing our limiting beliefs. I'm not good enough was just a fact for me. It was like a mantra. It kind of vibrated within me. And then we just repeat it over and over to ourselves, searching for evidence to keep reinforcing it. And these rules shape our experience that we have in the world. And we have no idea they're there. Because our brains are constantly processing information. They need to do this as efficiently as possible. So our brains create a filter system, a bit like a sieve. Someone's just logging in and they're wondering, why is that woman holding a green sieve to her face? That's what our limiting beliefs do. We just do that. Our brains have got to create the system for, remember, our brains have to do this for efficiency. We can't process everything in our conscious mind. It's too exhausting. We just create this filter system. So we filter out and only see what fits with our belief system. Does that make sense? I'll give you an example of this. So I love getting my nails done. I actually need doing because they're all peeling. It's just something I like to do. I like to have nice nails. I used to be a biter when I was young. I used to bite all the skin and my nails always looked gross. So I really pride myself and I just like to have nice nails. And if you've been to a nail salon in America, they usually have a wall with hundreds of different colors, all sorts of different colors. And every time I go and get my nails done, so I have like purple, royal purple. And I know when I go tomorrow, I definitely want like a nude kind of natural color. So I know that when I get there. So when I get to the nail salon, in my head, my filter system has said, I want a kind of very natural, very light color. So my filter system just filters out everything that doesn't fit with that. Reds, purples, blues, whatever. I just see the kind of nudes and naturals, which makes my decision-making process much easier. Every so often I go and I'm like, oh, I don't know what color I want. And then I feel kind of overwhelmed by the choice. I'm like, oh, is it red? Is it pink? I don't know. That's how our filter systems work. I've told my brain that I want a very nice natural color tomorrow. So when I walk in, I'm only going to see that. That's what my brain has been told to notice. It's exactly the same with your limiting beliefs. Your brain only notices things it is told to notice. Makes sense to everybody. This is really important. And this is the problem. Our filter system will disregard anything that doesn't fit with the limiting belief you have about yourself. Give you another example. So maybe you're in your job and your boss comes up and says, fantastic. I just want to say that was a fantastic piece of work you did last week. You really, that was a lot on. You did really well. We're just really happy at how that all worked out. We just wanted to, make sure that you knew we were really happy. For about 10 seconds, you are going to go, oh, that's great. And then your filter system will kick in. And what your filter system will do with that information is that does not fit your belief about yourself, which is that you're not good enough. So your filter system will take that information and start going, yeah, but he says that to everyone. Like, it wasn't really that a big deal. I don't know why he's even bothering saying anything, to be honest with you. It's like any idiot could have done that. What we do is we take what was said and we make it fit with our belief that we have about ourselves. Does that make sense? Can you see how you've done that? Where someone has said to you, oh God, thanks, amazing job, or thanks what you did, or whatever. And you've been, for a second, you're like, oh. And then you start rationalizing that actually it wasn't a big deal. I did this when I did my degree. So I'm dyslexic and it wasn't diagnosed at school, and I struggled in a lot of areas. I went to university, which was a big deal because I struggled at school, and I got into university and that was a big thing, and it was really hard and I was failing, and my dyslexia got diagnosed. I had a tutor, changed my life. I've written 3 books. That is a lot for someone with dyslexia, but that my tutor changed my life. She taught me how a dyslexic can write essays, changed my life. It's amazing. And it was a mountain to climb, and I was also drinking at the time. My life was very chaotic, and I was really focused on, if I can just get this degree, I'll be a person with a college degree. That's a really big thing. And I did, and I wanted to get a 2-1. In England, that's like a B. And they post them on, I don't know if they still do this, but they post them on the wall, and you have to go to the university to see what your grade is. And I was like, oh God, I really thought I was going to get like a 2-2, which is an okay degree. A 2-1 is a good degree. And I went and I looked and I got it. I got a 2-1. And I was like, I'd spent 3 years like that would be amazing. Like that, if I got that, that would be amazing. There was lots of obstacles, blah, blah, blah. And I got it. And for about 15 seconds, I enjoyed it. I was like, and then you know what? My next thought was, it couldn't have been that hard. Couldn't have been that hard if you got it, if you did it. And I started tearing it down to fit that Veronica isn't really that good. And everyone's seeing, okay, good. I just want to see. Yeah. We do these mental gymnastics to get the present to fit with a view of ourselves that's based in the past. So an example of this would be if you felt left out a lot as a child. Maybe you remember not being included in playground games, for example. Maybe this happened a few times. Because you were a child, you lacked self-awareness and critical thinking. So maybe you began to think, what's wrong with me? Why doesn't anyone want to play with me? And a belief system about being included and liked will begin to form. So fast forward 30 years and you're at work. You don't want to drink anymore, so you've stopped. But this means saying no to after work drinks. You know that if you go, you're going to feel really tempted to drink because it's still early days and you don't want that. But you feel really left out if you don't go. In fact, the more you think about it, the more it seems like everyone is having fun at the bar after work, just having a great, awesome time. And you are the sad, lonely loser. No one really likes who's going home. Same as you've always been. Your ego voice will be telling you a familiar story about why you are being left out. So your filter system will take this information and say, friends are having fun without you and you are being left out again. And link it to a time in the past when you felt left out when you were younger. And it will feel quite emotionally devastating. Who has had that emotionally devastating feeling by something you know is fairly trivial, but feels emotionally huge? Being left out was something I perceived all the time. I was an only child. I didn't understand sibling relationships. Even when I was included, I still feel left out. You know, that was crazy. You know, I can look back and think, well, I was at that party, I was at that event, but I still felt left out even when I was included because of the limiting beliefs. I now, from my work, know this is a very common feeling. Now, what happens is, this is how limiting beliefs are then linked to resentments. And it's how we begin to feel resentful. Does everyone know what resentments are? Resentments are the free drunk. Resentments rent space in our heads. It's when we feel upset, angry, pissed off at others, and we feel like there's been an injustice. It's not fair. So resentments, the biggest key is they rent space in our heads. We just go over and over like, when we just tell the story, I can't believe that they didn't I can't believe no one even said to me about drinks after work. Like, I mean, like, they could have at least invited me. Can't believe that she did that. Can't believe that they did that. Everyone know what a resentment feels like? Resentments are fueled by limiting beliefs because we tell ourselves a story. We tell ourselves a story about, my boss said this to me and I can't believe how they treat me, and it's not fair, and they don't see my worth, and I work so hard. We just tell ourselves a story. Does that make sense? Carrie, I'm going to put the link here. If you go on there, there's a link to book a call. It's on the information page. Yeah, I'm just looking at the comments. So those are, and resentments are lethal for us, but we also use them. Resentments and limiting beliefs are what keep us drunk, because we can tell ourselves the story that it's not fault, and it's not our fault, and it's not fair. It's them. If they treated me better, they included me, if my boss wasn't awful, if my husband wasn't awful, if this person hadn't done or said this, then I wouldn't need to drink. So they need to change, not me. And resentments are all held up by our limiting belief stories. So when events happen that trigger a limiting belief, they will manifest in the story, and that feels like a resentment. The story kicks off an emotional reaction that you feel in your body, and that will then kick off thoughts linked to those emotions. The thinking and feelings will work in tandem. So the ego message feels true. The ego voice will be saying things like, see, they don't really like you. They put up with you, but no one really cares. They're not going to miss you. You will always be alone. If you drink, you'll have friends. You'll be included. Because when you drink, you fit in. And the ego voice in our heads, I'm going to explain a little bit tomorrow, a bit more about what the ego voice is. It's just the voice in your head. It just says these things over and over again, these limiting beliefs. And that just feels terrible, right? Doesn't feel good. Remember that the ego and the subconscious mind are working together to make sense of the current experience as efficiently as possible. This is like that. This thing that's happening at work is like this thing that happened when you were 10. And because feeling left out as a kid feels so devastating, the perception of feeling left out as an adult feels equally devastating. We are re-experiencing past pain. These responses are automatic and they happen on autopilot. It's interesting, I have to say, as a parent, I see this play out in parenting, where parents project onto their children how they felt and try and control circumstances because they're trying to control feelings in themselves. I see that a lot. So when we feel resentful, it's not fair, I'm not included, etc. And when we feel like that, what do we want to do? We want to change that feeling as quickly as possible, right? So what do we reach for? We reach for a substance that takes those feelings away really quickly. People drink on resentments fueled by limiting beliefs all the time. And I'm going to guess the majority of your drinking is because of this. That's my experience. And I want to tell you, this program is an invitation. This 5 days is an invitation for you to change and grow. But I will tell you, resistance is going to come up. Resistance and fear to the growth and the change. Even though I know you're saying you don't want to be where you are, the resistance and growth will come up. And that's why we hold on to our resentments and our limiting beliefs, because they fuel our drinking. So what I do in my programs is take away your reason to drink. 2 guarantees I make in my programs. 1, I will mess up your drinking. 2, you will experience a transformation if you do the work. We tell ourselves we drink because of the circumstances or what's happened to us, when really we are drinking because of the story we are telling ourselves about the circumstances. We are really drinking because of the story we are telling ourselves about the circumstances. Can everyone see that? We are already feeling the emotions in our bodies before our rational mind can kick in and say, you know, being sober is the most important thing right now. When you feel secure, you can go along for an hour or 2. You have lots of friends who like doing things that don't involve alcohol. That would be the rational response, right, to not going to the happy hour drinks. But remember that the rational part of us is in the conscious mind, which is only 5%. The 95% is going to win. You know, I hear so many people say they don't drink, that say they drink when they don't want to, because they are scared of what other people think about them. That other people are going to think they're boring and not fun. And that always breaks my heart, that we are doing something so destructive because of what someone else thinks. And by the way, you have no idea what anyone else thinks. You only know what you think. All that matters is what you think about yourself, not what other people think about you. The limiting belief there is what other people think of me is more important than what I think of myself. And then that's just a program, right? What other people think of me is much more important than what I think of myself. And you will have that if you grew up in a family. I grew up, this was a big messaging in my family. And I think it's very of a time, like, don't do that. What will other people think? Like, that was something that was said in my family, like, what will other people think? My mother, poor mother, has this conflict where, like, I've been on TV and radio and I have my book and blah, blah, blah. And I've been on TV and radio quite a lot in England before I even came to America. And my mum had this dilemma of being really proud of that, but really ashamed of the subject matter. Like, because I would talk about being a recovered alcoholic and blah, blah, blah in my work. And So she was proud as on TV, but really embarrassed about the subject because of what will other people think that her daughter is an alcoholic. And that's the word I use for myself. So that's just a programming. Who runs that program? Who can see now that that's been revealed, that that program has been running in their subconscious mind, that what other people think of you is more important than what you think about yourself? Yeah. You know, it's really interesting. I had my first child when I was 10 years sober. And one of the things I've noticed once my children got to school is there's always a kind of group of mums that get together and drink on play dates, you know, meetings, that kind of stuff. That's their thing, is drinking. And I don't get ever invited to that stuff. And I get it. Once people find out what I do, that I don't drink, and then they find out what I do for a living, it makes people feel uncomfortable. I get that. And I've always been able to find a nice group of mums that I feel really comfortable with, and we hang out with and become friends. Really interesting. Where I live, actually it happened in the place before as well. The holy grail of being a parent is your kids make some friends, and you like the parents, and then you want to hang out together. Everyone who's a parent will know what I'm talking about. Interestingly, my friends, my kids, the friends they pick are parents that don't drink, or drink like very occasionally. And I only thought of that like a few months ago. I was like, God, that's really interesting, because we now hang out with those parents, and our kids are friends, and it's really nice. So I don't take the not being included with the group of mums that drink, and they do different things. You know, there was one group of mums in the place I used to live. They would do stuff that I would kind of like to have done that stuff, but they don't include me. I don't take it personally. I get it. I'm not, you know, I would have taken that so personally in the past. Oh my God. But I know I'm good enough. And I also know that I'm not everyone's cup of tea when it's not personal. And that is freedom. That when I talk about having freedom in our mind, that is freedom. So we have these very intense emotional responses that we are based on these limiting beliefs, and it just feels very real. It feels like a fact. So this is in your workbook. Feelings are not facts. They are just data. Feelings are not facts. They're just data. They're information that is relayed to us so we can make choices and decisions. So at some point, we have to examine our beliefs and discard the ones that do not serve us. Because we take everything personally, we create limiting beliefs that are based on perception rather than reality. And that's the big thing here, perception and reality. So how do we uncover core limiting beliefs? And I have a couple of exercises that I teach in my programs, but I'll share one of them with you. One of them is bring your awareness to how you speak about yourself. What do you say about yourself over and over? Those are your limiting beliefs. I'm so stupid. That I'm never included. What is it you just say over and over in your head? That's how you find your limiting beliefs. Every time I was rejected or dumped, I knew it was because something was wrong with me. See, there's something wrong with me. Otherwise, they would not dump me. And something wrong with me is just, I'm not good enough. That's what it boils down to. If you guys were going to guess what your limiting beliefs were, what do you think they would be? Put it in the chat. Who thinks their core limiting belief is I'm not good enough, or I'm not being loved, or I'm not worthy of being loved? Just going to look at some of the messages in the chat. Okay, yeah, I'm a failure. Yeah, we all have lots of limiting beliefs. Yeah. And can you see how that belief system then manifests itself in events and circumstances? We confuse truth with perception. How we perceive things is not always as they are. So let's go back to the story of the child in the playground who's feeling left out. The kids are playing a game they really enjoy, and they're kids, you know how they get really intense about these things. And a couple of them actually did wave to you and say, come over, but you kind of just felt too shy. The kids in the game just interpreted that to mean you weren't interested and carried on with what they were doing. It wasn't personal. If they had been older or had better communication skills, maybe they could have been more persistent. But all that happened in this event was a small miscommunication. How it was perceived, however, was entirely different. And that is how our filter system begins to be created. With some examination, we can find that things we thought were true, like I don't fit in or I'm not good enough, is based on our perception of the event rather than the truth of the event. And I want to say, you know, maybe you were excluded. Maybe that happened. What we mistakenly do, though, is believe that happened because there was something wrong with us. When actually, if someone did that to you, it's because something is wrong with them. They failed as human beings, not you. And if it was kids that excluded you, it's because they just didn't have the skills or the ability. Their behavior was a reflection of their own inner world. What other people do is a reflection of themselves, and it's never personal. The problem is we interpret other people's behavior to be personal, and it's never personal. And that's what the whole thing with the mums groups who drinks, wherever I've lived, there's always been a mum groups that drinks, and I'm never included. It's not personal. It's because I don't drink, and that makes people feel uncomfortable who enjoy their drink, or when I use the word, who are committed to their drinking. And when they find out what I do, they definitely don't want me there. It's not personal, because I always find other lovely mom friends and we have a really nice time together. So getting free of this has a profound impact on your life. It's a practice. If we continue to practice this work, it will have massive changes in all areas of our life. This is how I got free. So I knew that this had changed. I told you the story of my romantic relationships and how awful that was and the rock bottoms. And I did this work. I just kept practicing this work. I did resentment work on my fears, work on my limiting beliefs. I just consistently did it, very imperfectly and messily, but I consistently did it. And I had a crush on a guy that I used to work with, and he was sober, I was sober, he was a therapist, I was a therapist, and we were friends. And after a few weeks, I just kind of had this realization that he didn't feel the same way about me, that he just didn't see me in that way, saw me as a friend. And I kind of had this realization that nothing was going to happen. And I felt this feeling of disappointment. And I can still see myself walking down the street in Bury St Edmunds. And my next thought was, I wonder what's wrong with him. And I literally felt like I'd been hit by a bolt of lightning, because I was like, no, I wonder what's wrong with him. I think I'd make a great girlfriend. I wonder why he can't see that. And I realized that a fundamental emotional rearrangement had occurred inside of me, and my perception of everything had changed. I was the kind of person who would go into the office in the morning, and I'd be like, so it was a Monday morning, and I used to work in a big office when I worked for the youth offending team. And I'd be like, hey, Carolyn, how was your weekend? And if Carolyn was at her computer and she was like, yeah, it was fine, I'd be like, ooh, what's up with her? Like, did I say something? Oh my God, was it that email I sent last week? Is Carolyn upset with me? Oh my God. And I would spend all day obsessed that Carolyn had been blunt with me in the morning, and I had therefore must have done something to upset her. Has anyone done that? Has anyone felt that way? Obsessed that somebody doesn't like you because of something they did. Now I would go into the office in the morning and I'd be like, oh, hey, Carolyn, how was your weekend? And if Carolyn went, yeah, it was fine, I think, oh, I wonder what's up with her. And I'd go about my day. That is freedom. Does everyone see how huge it is? I've got way more important things to think about and do than obsess about whether someone likes me or not. because I like myself. I feel comfortable in my own skin. And that is the place that we want to get to. That is what's possible for you. That's what's on offer for you. And I want everybody to know that nobody here is special or different, that this stuff won't work for them. That's a limiting belief, by the way. So we change our limiting beliefs by uncovering them, discovering the pattern, and changing them into empowering beliefs. I'm not good enough doesn't change to I'm just completely amazing, because that's ridiculous, right? And the ego's not going to buy it. It just changes to I'm learning that I'm all right. See, the thing is, I want to tell you, I am terrible at lots of things, like terrible at them. I'm really, really good at some things. I think I'm a really good therapist. I do think that. I'm not great at cooking. I'm not great at, you should see my desk. It's quite messy. It doesn't matter. I don't feel like, I just feel like I'm good enough. And that feels really, really comfortable. And that is what leads to us feeling comfortable in our own skin. I'm good enough to be someone's girlfriend. And if they can't see that, that's their failing, not mine. Because I want to be with someone who sees my worth. And that's why I married my husband. He was the first person to see my worth. So we talked about this when we talked yesterday about the fixed and growth mindset. It's not about denying truth. It's about something that's more honest, that is more empowering for us. And this is the work of adulthood. Don't you wish someone had told you this? As young children, we are downloading all this stuff. Don't you wish someone had taught us that we, as young adults, we need to kind of examine it and filter it and change it? We have created these filter systems. Here's my filter system to process the data around us. Is this working, by the way? Does everyone get this? Should I use it again? It's only the first time I've ever done it. And what happens is we have all this positive feedback and events, but we cannot see it. We can't see it. We literally discard positive stuff. And this is in your workbooks. Our filter system will only present stuff that fits with our limiting beliefs. Our filter system will only present stuff that fits with our limiting beliefs. Another example of this is how you accept compliments. So if someone says to you, oh, that's a nice t-shirt, and I'm like, oh, this is like secondhand. I've had it years. What I'm doing is, first of all, I'm insulting you. I'm insulting your opinion. But your compliment of saying that's a nice t-shirt does not fit with my belief about myself that I'm not good enough. So I need to make it fit and say, you're ridiculous because this is actually from a charity shop and I've had it 20 years. And what are you talking about? Someone says to you, your hair looks really nice today. And you're like, oh, well, I haven't even washed it. Like, yeah, it really needs a cut. Who does that, right? What that is an example. There's information, data right there. It doesn't fit with your belief about yourself. So you have to make it fit. And that's why you do that. And that's why other people do that. So Toddy has just posted, and I know Toddy, if people really knew me, they wouldn't really like me. Oh, let me tell you, Toddy, we love you. You are such an amazing, kick-ass person. And I'm so glad you're in our world. Hopefully some of your filter system will let that in. So I give my clients lots of exercises to help just begin this change. It's really easy when you know how to do this. So one of the ways to do this is just accept a compliment gracefully. Just say thank you. And notice how uncomfortable that is, because it's your limiting beliefs are like, So imagine how different your life would be if you change this. We think that the world needs to change for us to feel better, when in reality, it's our programming and our perception. We need to change our perception, and we need to change the programming in our subconscious minds. You know, it's a tragedy that lots of people go through their lives without knowing this, or worse, learning it and not doing anything about it. And this is my invitation for you guys to do something about it. For those of you who are ready to do this, and even though you're feeling the fear and resistance, I invite you to join the Sober Mindset program. I've done this stuff for years. I'm qualified and experienced enough to deliver it. It's my flagship program. It gets incredible results for the people who do the work. And I would encourage you to all watch the testimonials that are on the information page that I just posted, because you can't just hear it from me. You need to hear it from people that have been through it. The program kicks off with a bonus next Thursday. So if you're going to join early so you can do the bonus session next week, which is super fun. We really kind of start with kind of clearing out a lot of the crap and getting you clear on your path and what really matters. So there's 6 modules in this program. These are the modules. We do module 1 is about the subconscious mind and your programming. So we get deep into that, uncovering your patterns, your behavior. There's lots of exercises that we do. Module 2 is how we move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, which will have a huge impact on your sobriety and other areas of your life. Module 3 is the limiting belief work. So there's a whole practice that we do together where we practice this, and we practice identifying your limiting beliefs, changing them to something more empowering, and going through the whole process that is required there. We have a 2-day online retreat in this program, which is when we do the resentment work. I want to tell you, take it from me. The most important work you can do in your sobriety is the resentment work. It is the key to everything. Everything kind of connects to the resentment work. And we have a specific method based on rational, emotive, behavioral therapy that we take you through. It's a very cognitive process. It's where we write our resentments out, and they will shift your perception. It will uncover your limiting beliefs, your perception will shift, and you will feel differently. And I think some people have done this work with me or who are on this call, they can perhaps mention that. Module 5 is overcoming childhood patterns, where we look deeply at your childhood patterns, how we were parented, our culture, our communities, that kind of stuff. And module 6 is empowering habits, where we bring all of this together, because it's not just about doing this program. And I say this in every program I do. It's not just you do this program and you're fixed and off you go. It's not about having a toolbox. It's about having a practice. So what you will leave with is a practice that will support your mental and emotional well-being for the rest of your life. And we teach all of that. So we have weekly coaching. We have, each module has a video and handout, so you can go over what it is you're learning, what you're practicing. There's lots of actionable homework, but you're practicing new behaviors. You're coming to the coaching calls, you're telling us what that's like, all of that kind of stuff. It doesn't really matter where you are on your journey. Wherever you are on your journey, the work will fit wherever you are on your journey. So we have people who join this program who are stopping and starting, and we have people who join this program who have several years of sobriety under their belt, but they're just stuck and they know they need more. This work it's deep work, it's transformational work, and I guarantee 2 things. I will mess up your drinking, and you will experience a transformation if you do this work. You will be able to see things that you can't unsee. I put the link there. You should be getting the email out with all of the information. Please look at the testimonials. It's really the best way to really understand what the program's about. So the program, it's every Thursday. It's 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. UK time. There is, you get 6 months free membership to Soberful Life. We form a little private community there so we can interact. You get the recordings of the teaching modules and the handouts, and there's weekly coaching calls, and you can come to as many of those as you want. So I always tell people come to everything because it will make your experience better, but come to as many as you can. Show up, ask for help, do the work, and I promise you that things will change. Now, I invite you just to book a call. That's the easiest way to get started. I like to get to know people before they join the program. So booking a call will be super helpful. We can talk through, what you want, where you're at, all of that kind of stuff. But there's tons of information on the information page. So please look at that, and it should answer most of your things. And so we start next Thursday with the bonus. It runs all the way through to March. We take a little break for Thanksgiving and Christmas, but so yeah, we go all the way through to March. I lead this program. Tamara, one of my coaches, teaches a few bits on this program as well. And I will be back with you tomorrow for the final day. And I'm going to give you the homework question. What limiting beliefs do I have about myself? And that's going to be posted in the Facebook group. What limiting beliefs? Yes, Tom, you can do it with the recording. Yeah. What limiting beliefs do I have about myself? But book a call. Honestly, just book a call. It's easier to do that. There's a link on the information page where you can get into my diary and book a call either with me or Tamara, and we can talk through everything. Tomorrow, don't miss, we're going to be talking about growth, resistance, the voice of the ego, and how to get a sober mindset. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And don't forget about our bonus session next Tuesday, same time, same place, where any questions you have, I'll answer as many questions as I can. All right, everybody, take care.